Welcome to the third episode of the Happen Teen Hall podcast. Our normal host couldn't be here today, so I'm Abe.
And I'm Joey.
And this is our guest, Aaron Madrigal.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So you run a business in Northside. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my business was formerly in Northside. It was right down the street. Actually, I lived in this building when I started it. I lived on the top floor here in 1614 for about 5 years. And when I'd first moved in, I knew I wanted to start a business at some point, but I actually didn't know what I wanted to start. And next door, there was a laundromat that was in pretty bad shape. Like one washing machine that kind of filled up with water and then drained, but didn't spin or really wash your clothes at all. And then there's a bunch of dryers that were set on like nuclear setting. So you put your clothes in there, they instantly smelt like burnt toast. So I knew that there was room for improvement. And we had a bunch of different ideas. And then around the same time, I had started my rock band, Lemon Sky. And I went to go order some T-shirts, and they cost a lot of money. And I was actually kind of taken aback by the price, at least by the people I had a coat from. And I was curious if there's like a better or cheaper way, or both, of doing some screen printing. And around that time, someone told me to talk to Tommy down at the corner at Happen, because he had a program where he taught people how to screen print from the neighborhood. And I thought that was really cool, so I went down and talked to Tommy. I don't think we really knew each other that well yet. We've been acquainted, but there wasn't the relationship we have now. And so Tommy took me into his workshop and pretty much just showed me the basics of screen printing, how it all works. Because I was coming from scratch. I'd seen some stuff on YouTube, but I didn't really know much about it at all. So yeah, Tommy showed me this stuff, and I looked around online for a little bit and found some equipment on Craigslist that was exactly what I was looking for, but half the price. And then I just kind of went for it.
So your business is called Cincinnati or
Cincinnative, yeah.
Cincinnati.
See, the Cincinnati's in the word, just end it with a V-E, and you're good.
And so you make Cincinnati themed shirts mostly?
Nope. No? I don't think. I mean, maybe a couple.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just so it wasn't just when I started the shop. I had the intention of not just doing screen printing, but I started out doing it for local bands because I was in the band, and that was a community that I was really connected with. And so I wanted to both print shirts and posters and that kind of thing for local bands, but I also wanted to be selling local music, having shows at my shop. So it was really about focusing on the local aspect of stuff, which is where the native part came in. I really wanted to have it be a very localized thing. Yeah.
So you started selling you started your business and you started selling these shirts to bands and to to public as well?
Yeah, anyone could order shirts, but most of my connections were through bands. Okay. And so they needed them for merch at their shows. They want to sell some shirts or some hoodies, posters, or whatever. So I started out there, and it just kind of naturally progressed, whether some people that were in some of these bands worked for like a marketing company or for Kroger, who knows, whatever. They would need some shirts, and they'd be like, hey, I've got a guy. Yeah. And, so after the first wave of bands did that, then I kind of expanded into marketing firms and festivals, and it turns out everyone needs shirts. So that kind of worked out pretty well. And so I started this back in, it was the summer of 2012 that Tommy was showing me this stuff. And that's when I first started work on my shop down there, like taking everything apart and painting it and just getting it ready to go. And I took a little time. And I started printing. I printed my first shirt maybe in late January of 2013.
Wow.
And yeah, it was quite a learning curve. I learned a bunch. Just in that, I still learn a lot right now. There's always something new, the new material, a new ink, new something. But that's where I really cut my teeth, is that for the first year or two of doing stuff over there. And I definitely asked Tommy for some pointers and for some help. And it's kind of fun now because Tommy hits me up if he needs a screen burnt, or if there's something he's not quite sure of. He's like, oh, you've been doing this for a while now. I think you've gotten in pretty deep. Can you give me some help?
Yeah, so you kind of moved on from not just from screen printing, but also to making the screens themselves and
Yeah, so it's not. I'm not doing the construction of the screen.
Yeah.
But in the process of making the screen, are you familiar with screen printing?
I'm a little bit, maybe for the listeners, kind of explain it.
Sure. There to transfer the image to a screen, let's start even back further. Pretty much, it's a glorified stencil. You are pushing ink through a screen onto a shirt or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to go everywhere. You want it to be in a very specific area. So on the screen, we apply a photosensitive emulsion, which is pretty much just a goop that reacts with UV light.
Yeah.
Wherever UV light touches it, it cures and it hardens and it's no longer water soluble. Wherever UV light doesn't touch it, you can still just wash it away with water. So on my inkjet printer, I can print out a film positive where I don't want there to be emulsion. I want to be able to print that. So I do that for Tommy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I can keep on going. I just don't know.
In Breadwinners, we've gotten this. We've recently, in our newest design, we're going back to screen printing and we got a design from you because what we did during COVID, we couldn't be close together, so we got into, and I think Tommy said you told him about this, a different thing, which is sublimation. And so how did you learn about sublimation?
I just saw a shirt print that I couldn't really explain, and I checked into it, and it was a process called dye sublimation. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of different cool printing techniques, or I guess shirt or garment embellishment techniques, and they all have their own strengths. With a DTG, you can get, or not DTG, I'm sorry, the sublimation. You can get a full color image, really cool. Just print it off of your printer, and it's super soft. But the longevity isn't quite there, and it doesn't have the full richness of color. Yeah. But then you got screen printing. I mean, your prints can turn out really beautiful and long lasting, but you might not have the exact image quality you would from something that's being computer printed because you just don't have that capability. So yeah, I've considered different things like DTG and like dye sublimation. DTG is direct to garment, just so everybody knows. But screen printing is where it's at. That's what I know how to do. I've got the equipment for it, and I like it. And there's definitely a demand for it.
I know in screen printing you can kind of do one color at a time. How many colors do you do on like a shirt at most?
My rig is set up to do 4 colors per print location, and I've got to tell you, I can maybe count on one hand the amount of requests that I've had for more than 4 colors. Maybe that's because my website says 4 colors and no one just asks for more. So it's kind of a self-limiting thing. But for the most part, people want 1 or 2 colors. At least that's my experience so far. They want 1 or 2 colors, maybe a couple locations. So it's just worked out really well that's what my machines can handle.
Has there ever been like a hard shirt that might have taken a little bit longer to print?
Yeah. Well, I can see that you're pretty far away from me right now, but there are some gray hairs in the beard and some starting up here. So I've had my fair share of difficult shirts. No, there's been, like I said before, I'm always learning something. And there's been times when, whether it's my supplier, it seems like maybe they've switched up their formula. Or because something got discontinued, I've been forced to change the emulsion. I've been forced to change X, Y, Z. Even like so I use all water-based inks, which it's really dependent on air temperature. It's dependent on humidity, all kinds of stuff. And so when I'm in a new situation, whether it be from the chemicals, whether it be when I had to move from my shop here on Chase, it's a new learning thing, like how your shirts are going to react while you're printing, after they're printing, the curing process. So yeah, it seems like when I think I know how to do everything, someone brings along something that I need to learn a bunch to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And kind of speaking on learning new things, you've also, on top of your business, you've moved into doing a local festival, right?
Yeah. So while some of these things might seem like they're separate things, I've found that just in my life in general, a lot of the things I've done or have learned to do just kind of compound on one another. So like I said, I started the shop when I started my band. I've been playing music for a while, and that kind of, I would say everything that I've been doing for the last while is just music adjacent. It's something related to it. I don't know if you've heard, but like musicians don't typically make a lot of money playing music. Some of them do. Some of them get really lucky and do really well. But if you, I wanted to stay doing stuff that's relevant to music in that I guess, arena and that. But so doing things for like booking shows, booking bands, which I also like to do, is a good way of kind of gigging my income. So if I hadn't had this shop, I don't think I would be booking the Rock and Roll Carnival right now. So I'm trying to say, so these things it's kind of fun how they build upon it. So after I started printing down the street, I believe that summer is when I did my first shirt prints for the Rock and Roll Carnival. That would be 2013. So I've been printing for them for quite a while. And it wasn't until after the pandemic that, before the pandemic, I was also booking at Northside Tavern. So it's another thing that's kind of built into that. After the pandemic, since I already had a relationship with the business association, and I had a track record for booking stuff around the neighborhood, it just kind of made sense. And I got asked to work with the Rock and Roll Carnival. Mm-hmm. And so this will be the third year. 2024 will be the third carnival that I've booked. And it was fun this past year. We were also able to start up a summer series, an additional series. It was like a monthly thing down at the park. Just because, you know Hoffner Park, right?
Yes.
It's a great place that doesn't seem like it gets used in an organized fashion that often.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun to be able to organize stuff down there and have some music and some good food for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In your band, what instrument do you play? Just something I want to know.
I'm a singer and guitar player.
Ooh, beautiful. Me too.
Nice. All right. You're a singer and guitar player?
Well, not guitar, but I am told that I do sing pretty well. I do have a lot of after-school choirs that I go to. It is so fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, like I remember my school choir is we're going to go to Kings Island on Star Wars Day, May 4th. So we're gonna compete against other choirs, and we've been practicing a lot since then.
Cool. Good luck.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
It is nice to know that you're a singer too. What type of songs have you sung before?
As soon as I figured out how to get moving on a guitar and try to sing, I just kind of departed for doing my own stuff. I gotta tell you, I learned how to play guitar and sing from John Mayer.
Ooh,
not in person. I just learned some of his. I learned some of his songs, but he was really great. It was for like the finger picking and dexterity stuff. And like I said, as soon as I kind of figured out what I wanted to do, then I just started playing my own music and started writing stuff.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. I think we have to wrap this up, but
we got the 5-minute warning already.
Yeah.
15 minutes went fast.
I know. Is there anything you want to talk about, like with the Rock and Roll Carnival or your business?
Well, we're about to announce a bunch of stuff for this summer. I don't know the exact date we'll be announcing it, but we've got a lot going on. I'm really excited. We've got most of the carnival booked.
Right.
But back to being an entrepreneur. Learn everything you can, because everything I've learned, things I was learning when I was a kid, working on a car or a house with my dad, has been applicable to my shop now, because I'd rather not pay someone to fix my machines. I'd rather do it myself. And that experience came from just taking something apart and putting it back together and making it work. My bicycle, lawnmower, whatever it was. So the things that seem maybe insignificant along the way kind of have a way of building up and being really useful later on down the line. And just keep your eye open for opportunity, because there's all kinds of opportunity. If you're looking for it, you might never thought of XYZ as being something you could get into, but if you see an opportunity to do something that no one's doing, or do it better or cheaper, or all of them, take a go.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been very insightful, and thank you to all the listeners at home for listening and enjoying. This has been the Happen Teen Hall podcast from the Happen Media Center. Please subscribe, comment, tell us what you think about the episode, and we'll see you in the next one.